talking about cryptocurrency policy and regulation this evening on the India development debate. Bill was supposed to be passed in Parliament this monsoon session. All eyes were on it because it would have perhaps given us an idea of what exactly the government plans to do. So the Finance Ministry and the RBI all have their views on what they want to do with cryptocurrencies. The RBI is pretty clear. They're not interested in having something like a cryptocurrency at all. They are working on developing their own virtual currency that can be utilized. But it's a horse that has left the stable. Right now, cryptocurrencies are being traded and bought more widely than ever before. As we mentioned, the amount of money put in cryptocurrencies has grown multiple times in just the last year. So many companies which are acting as exchanges for cryptocurrencies or are a part of the ecosystem have mushroomed in the last several months. There are about 300 at last count, some of them moving towards unicorn status as well. So can you really come now and say that no, let's shut this shop down? It's unlikely. So what exactly are they going to do? Nischal Shetty, founder and CEO of WazirX, with me on the show today. Ashish Singhal, co-founder and CEO of CoinSwitch Kuber, joining us on the show today. And I'm also going to be speaking with Gaurav Dahake, founder and CEO of Bitbns. We're just trying to get him connected. So welcome to all of you. Nischal, I just want to get your take first on the story that the Economic Times filed today, an exclusive story which seemed to suggest that the government may classify cryptocurrencies depending on the technology they use as well as their end use. Are they an asset? Are they a commodity? Or are they a currency?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really positive step for the entire ecosystem. In fact, I think everyone's finally happy about this classification news, because before this, it was all about putting crypto under one basic umbrella of currency. And now there's finally talk about how do you classify into various categories. So asset or commodities is one of the many categories. There's also the obvious, which is currency, but the majority of the use cases, they fall under utility. And the fourth is a security. So there are four major classifications of crypto, and it's just a welcome move for the entire industry to hear that the government is also now aligning with that classification. So we're all excited. I think it's a great progress for the entire ecosystem.
Well, they might do it. They may not. It's all under consideration so far. Mr. Shetty, explain to me that as someone who is, has high stakes in this ecosystem, has the regulatory uncertainty hampered your growth in any which way? Because your company and others in the space seem to be growing leaps and bounds. Give us a sense of how many more users have been added just in the last 1 year during the pandemic, when investors of all kinds have cropped up.
Yeah, I think in terms of absolute numbers, I think on our exchange, WazirX alone, we've added more than 4 or 5 million people now in under, I think, not even 1 year, I think under 7 to 8 months. And that's a massive number of people entering the whole crypto ecosystem. I think as an industry, we are now well over 15 to 17 million people in the whole crypto ecosystem. And that's just testament to the fact that everyone in India is looking forward to crypto as an asset class. Now, your question about, is this hampering the growth, the lack of regulatory certainty? And that's for sure. That's a yes. It's hampering growth, not just for one or two companies, but for the entire sector. Let's take, for example, investments into startups in this sector. I think India still ranks one of the lower numbers compared to anywhere in the world like US and UK. In terms of, I think, even the number of startups that have grown large in India, it's considerably lower compared to the rest of the world. And this is, I think, the regulatory uncertainty playing. Despite this, the growth and the number of people entering the ecosystem, I don't think that's been hampered. That's really going well. But ultimately, we are in a financial sector, and regulatory clarity, it sort of brings in more investor confidence, which is the most important that this sector needs. So we are all pushing for regulations in this sector as an industry.
Yeah. No, so many are also wondering whether, all of these investors coming in, do they know that this regulatory uncertainty even exists? Ashish Singhal, give us your view of the whole situation. Do you think there is even an outside chance now that authorities could, as I said in my introduction, just down the shutters on this and say that no, we're not going to get into this? That time has passed, isn't it? Looking at the explosion of the number of investors in cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, definitely. And I think looking at the growth and how India has shown significant growth in crypto in the last 1 year, CoinSwitch alone has added 9.5 million users into the ecosystem, and the ecosystem grown to 15 to 20 million users now with over $4 billion invested. And these users are not just coming from tier one population. 60% of these users come from tier two and tier three cities. So the entire India is investing into cryptocurrency. There is a bleak chance that any regulatory direction may be taken, because this is not a certainty at this point yet. There is no bill out yet, but we are very hopeful in the way the direction has moved from February, where the bill was about to be tabled to ban cryptocurrencies, to where we are today, where government wants to encourage cryptocurrencies, wants to experiment and see how can it add to the economy itself, and what would be the next steps. And India would definitely not want to miss out on the new internet, the new crypto revolution, which is happening not just in India but around the world.
Yeah. Gaurav, great to have you on the show as well. What are your concerns about what could be in this note? What are you looking out for, and what would you hope to see?
I think the way the regulators have taken a stance in the recent sort of few months has been really, really positive. What we anticipate is there should be proper classification around different segments. So, may it be, say, payments as a utility for crypto, or may it be classifying that for other use cases. For every single sort of a thing, if there is proper guidelines defined, that would be really helpful. And instead of restricting any particular sort of utility, there could be a sandbox environment that would kind of help facilitate that. So I think the government has kind of taken steps around that direction, and will wait and watch as to what kind of comes up in the bill in the coming few months.
So, Nischal, one thing is fairly certain, and of course we have to wait to see what the final regulation is, but one thing is fairly certain, that authorities, government, RBI, no one is very excited by the idea of paying for things with cryptocurrencies, using it as an actual currency. There are papers upon papers which say that it cannot be used as a fiat currency because of the very nature of its being. If that window is shut, do you think it then limits the use case scenario for cryptocurrencies, hence its investments, hence its growth and future in India?
Not really. I think, in fact, that's a good point that you raised. I don't think crypto is trying to replace or compete with fiat currencies like the INR or the US dollar. What it's trying to do is fill the gaps on the internet, which traditional currency does not really fulfill. And there's a lot of those opportunities that crypto is already existing, because as simple as today, in the lack of regulation and no payment use case, the industry is still over $2 trillion in market cap. And that itself just proves that, crypto does not really need to come into the traditional payment mechanism, but it can fulfill payment use cases which traditional currencies don't. For example, cross-border, payments. That might be a use case in remittance for India. That might be a use case that might emerge in the future. But again, as on today, I think the success of cryptocurrencies, they come in the use case where you need to pay for smart contracts on the blockchain, for example. There you cannot use traditional currency. So that is where majority of the use cases lie, and that's where the progress is happening as on today. So I don't really believe that the traditional payment use cases are something of a dampener if cryptos can't get into that.
So you think it doesn't really matter. Ashish, do you agree? Because I remember when the first round of crypto boom began, I think 2016, 2017, everyone was very excited by this one coffee shop in Bengaluru, which, you could buy your coffee in cryptocurrency for. That may be unlikely. Do you think that will hamper the growth of this asset class in this country, and will it eventually be just that, an asset class, like you can invest in 10 other things, you can invest in cryptocurrencies as well?
So I absolutely believe that crypto has gone much beyond that. Bitcoin started as a replacement for currency, but as the use case grew, as the problem statement grew, now it has become a platform to solve and build some amazing use cases, micro lending for ones, insurance for others, right? Where we can streamline and digitize a lot of these processes, removing the bureaucracy, removing the hurdles that people face and the infrastructure that they need to get to be part of these infrastructures, right? So say insurance or micro lending, for example, just an internet and an application can now have you can take loans from it no matter where you are in India using crypto, right? So like Nischal talk about remittances, can the backend be driven by blockchain and cryptocurrencies, helping and enabling faster transactions across countries? So the use case of cryptocurrencies have, for the last 6 to 7 years have evolved beyond as a use of currencies, and it has started to move toward an asset class. Every crypto is trying to solve a very unique use case, similar to startups, and trying to create those products and be a digital first company at its core, right? And as these use cases get solved better and better each day, the value of these currencies as an asset class would grow, where people can invest in these use cases. And as the demand and supply for these use cases increases, they can get the benefit out of their investments.
Gaurav, I have a slightly different question for you. As the crypto boom explodes in India, right now there's a lot of investors who are looking for places to put their money, and crypto is exciting. It's it's new, and it's cool. It's a very millennial kind of thing as well. Do they understand what really this asset class is about? What happens if its uses get really limited tomorrow due to government policy? What if they're taxed in a way which is not very friendly tomorrow? Do you think that kind of investor knowledge is there?
Right. So, a lot of the people who are participating in crypto right now already have considered some of these things, and they're still participating. Imagine the amount of people that would come when there is actual regulatory clarity. Crypto, without all of these clarities and with a lot of negative news that used to come in every few months, still had managed to pull in about 20 million users in a span of a few years. And with the rate of momentum that it has, it would kind of cross the stock market users within a couple of years. The actual equity sort of traders in India, crypto users would be kind of higher than that. So users have already considered these sort of aspects around that. But the broader point remains that you cannot stop a technology whose time has come, right? So tomorrow if India says we're not going to allow electric vehicles, that's not going to fly. People would kind of have a way to kind of get electric vehicles, and within a few years or a decade or so, most of the cars that would fly in India would be electric, right? So crypto is that sort of a movement, and we're seeing that sort of manifestation that has kind of happened. Quite a few countries tried restricting it. So there are multiple examples like Thailand and others which tried restricting it, but it kind of got overturned, and now they're kind of pro-crypto with regulations kind of in place. In the next 18 to 24 months, we'll see most major countries kind of having proper set regulations for crypto across the world.
Yeah, I think you can't stop an idea whose time has come. That's the big quote from this discussion. Nischal, you want to come in on that? Do you think it's only fair that investors who are coming into this actually know? And that's a legitimate concern, isn't it? That do people putting in money in crypto, and companies like yours and others have made it incredibly easier for them to do it. It's almost like, just putting in a little amount whenever they feel like. The technology has become very easy. Do they actually know what they're investing in?
Yeah, look, I think the most important thing to understand out here is the largest age group, the demographic of people in crypto is in the 23 to 30 years. And this is the internet first population. And if there's one thing they're really good at, it's extracting information online. And I believe that most of them are well read and they understand. But apart from that, as an ecosystem, what we are all doing is spreading the right information about crypto through a ton of education initiatives as an industry. We in fact also have a industry effort to sort of self-regulate ourselves even in the absence of regulation. So I think all of these are adding to an informed ecosystem. So I don't really believe that we have a problem of misinformation. In fact, the misinformation tends to be more towards negative, where people still there are people who think that India has banned crypto, which is not the case. So there's no one who thinks that crypto is all regulated and it's all hunky dory out here. People are coming with a view that it's still unregulated and the government's still not taken a hard position on that. So let's invest cautiously. And I think that's what majority of the people in the ecosystem are have an outlook towards this.
Yeah, I think the fact that it is widely world over foxed governments, I would say, who are not too sure what to do with this asset class, how to treat it, how to tax it, how to regulate it, and it has backers in the United States like Elon Musk, has made it all the more exciting. Interesting insight there from Nischal about the 23 to 30-year-old age bracket who are fans of cryptocurrencies. Well, let's hope that there's regulatory clarity. No business, no sector should really grow in this gray area where no one knows what will happen next, and the sooner that is cleared up, the better. So we'll keep an eye on that story. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the discussion this evening.